this next book, trash. Hi everybody, I'm Jessica Nicole Dickerson, aka J&D, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be tier ranking all the POC books I've ever read. About 2 years ago, I really got into reading more diversely, reading more closely to myself, Muslim, Black, Indigenous, Mexican, Cuban, if I can find some. So I really want to highlight that on my channel, highlight these authors and amazing books. So I'm gonna give like little mini reviews to all these books. I think there's like 68 books, so it's gonna be a long video, so get your snacks and everything. And yeah, I also wanted to start a segment on my channel where I shout out a Black booktuber that has a like smaller channel. So I'm shouting out Charlize. She responded to my tweet. She's so cute. I just watched her April and May wrap up, so go check it out. She talks about the Shadow Me series, which is a series I haven't gotten into. You're not gonna see it in this video, which is sad, but I am convinced maybe I should give it a go, see how I feel. I just know that there's a lot of mixed reviews about it, so go check out her channel. I'll link her down below and her information. I don't think I have her Twitter account. I have her YouTube channel though, so go check her out. Make sure to keep supporting Black booktubers, not just during this time, but just, you know, for the rest of your life. You should support people who are working hard, who are hustling, you know? Yes. And last thing before I get into the tier ranking, there are 3 books that I've been in the middle of reading that I would totally mention in this video, but I haven't finished them yet. I'm literally in the middle of all of them. I'm like 200 pages into Array Bearer and I'm really loving it. It comes out in August. Hopefully I can finish it this month, get my review out to you guys before. You should definitely pre-order this. I'm just saying that because it's like I'm 200 pages in and I'm loving it. The next book I want to mention is Black Veins. I'm 100 pages into this. It's a really interesting concept. It's more of an urban fantasy, so it's like imagine Harry Potter but with like Black characters, so it's really cool in my opinion. I'm interested to see the magic system a little bit more, but yeah, very cool. And it's self-published, so show that love if you want to. And then I also love the fact that all 3 of these books are floppy and fantasy books. It's so funny. And then I just started Black Leopard Red Fox, and I am 106 pages into this. This is the trippiest, wildest high fantasy I've ever read, so I feel like these 3 books specifically would rank very high in my tier ranking, and that's why I'm mentioning them. But yeah, had to give them a shout out before I dive into everything else. But let's do it. I hope you guys have your coffee ready, because it's going to be a long video and I really hope my battery doesn't die. But let's see if I can be efficient. And I got a new laptop. Look at the screensaver I picked. Can you tell what movie this is? Comment down below what movie do you think it is. Oh, you're interrupting. What do you want? Why are you laughing?
I'll just play a game with us when you're done.
I'm not gonna be done for a while.
Jessie, I want you to play a geography game with us, please. Oh, please, please. Please.
I'm filming. You best leave.
I want to play.
I don't want to play geography, mommy.
Oh, it's a family game. We can't play without. Yeah. And they all said yes.
Okay, so let's begin. The way I set up the tier ranking was kind of similar to how A Clockwork Reader did it, Hannah. So there's God tier, demigod tier, great tier, good tier, okay tier, bad tier, and trash tier. I really don't think I'm going to use trash tier because I'm just like, I don't know. I feel very like, that's a mean word. I don't know, in my opinion. I'm a little worried about using that. And if you look online, I might link this tier ranking below, but I accidentally put Poet X in here twice, and I don't know how to take it out. But yeah, let's start with Poet X, because she's the first one down here, and I don't know if you guys know this, but it's one of my favorite books ever. It's so lyrical, so guess where it's gonna end up. Just guess. Just, you know it's God material if you've read it. And I guess because I guess I'll leave one of the copies down at the bottom because I'm silly like that. But yeah, definitely God tier. Really love it. It's about a girl really coming into herself and trying to figure out how to be herself. She's a twin, she's Latinx, she's curvy. Her mom strongly is like a religious follower, and it's all about learning about first love, and it's just so sweet, so lyrical. I could not recommend the audiobook enough. If you haven't read any of Elizabeth Acevedo's work yet, get on it. Do it. Okay, this next book is Standing Against the Wind. I forget who wrote it. And it actually might not be the right title because the title's kind of cut off and I can't see it, but I think it's Standing Against the Wind. I read this book from my library. I was really trying to find more diverse reads because of the books that I didn't have really didn't match what I was looking for. I don't know. Sometimes I buy a lot of books and I'm like, where the brown people at? So I did kind of like this story, but it really leans on the trope of you're better than other girls, or however you phrase it, where you are the only pure person because she's nerdy and she's smart and everyone else kind of hates her and bullies her. And it just definitely felt like everyone was like not a real character, not a real person. They weren't believable. Everybody was a bully, and this one innocent girl was like better than everyone else, and she had a love interest who was kind of trapped being the bully but didn't want to be the bully. So I'm gonna put this in bad tier because I think I gave it 4 stars when I first read it, and I think I've really changed the way I rank my books now and like how many stars I give it. I think right now if I had to give it any stars, I'd give it 2 stars, and it would just be like, you know, a book I read that I didn't really get much out of, but it wasn't bad. It's not like I wouldn't recommend it. I just had really bad tropes and it wasn't for me. Okay, this next book I loved. So it is Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. And for this, I think I'm gonna put this in great. This is a book I think about pretty frequently. I think how she tries to continue to connect with her family after the loss of a sister, and how she's starting to learn how her sister wasn't perfect. And it just talks a lot about humanity and relationships in a very raw way. It also talks a lot about mental health and how she's considering it. It talked a lot about just normal human issues, and I feel like it hits home a lot. It talks a lot about family, so just be careful. Trigger warnings, loss of a family member. I definitely would check the Goodreads reviews. I swear to God, why is someone mowing the lawn when I start filming? I really hope that's not annoying to you guys. My bad. So yeah, so it's definitely Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter is like a great book. It's really good. I think about it frequently. I'm like, oh, I need to find a book like that. Okay, the next book I have here is A Blade So Black. I think this I'm gonna put in the okay tier for now. I might change it to good. I think A Blade So Black is okay. It's good enough that I do want to read the second book. I thought it was a fun reimagining. So it is what's that story called? Alice in Wonderland. It's an Alice in Wonderland retelling. I almost forgot what that book is called. But you know, the main character is black, and she did lose her father, and it's all about her training to be like a monster hunter, and the Mad Hatter like trains her. It's kind of a cool concept. I don't recall a lot of the stuff. I don't remember it being super grabbing me, but I do love fantasy retellings a lot, so that's why I definitely gravitated toward this book. I do want to keep reading it because the cliffhanger was rude. I had a vlog, like not recently, but a vlog that came out a few months ago where I read it, and I was like, this ending, because it ends off like when like someone's in the middle of something, and I'm like, I need to know what happens. So it's definitely like, you know what, it is a good book, but I'm gonna keep it in the okay tier for now. Okay. The next book is Soft on Soft, and this is a recent book from the Brown Girl Book Club. So if you don't know, I started a book club. Follow the link below, the Twitter account. We just read books together, and I occasionally have a live show on my channel where we talk about it. And it's all about POC characters represented by POC authors, mostly women of color authors. We love those people. We want to show them a little bit of respect, you know. We want to chef kiss, you know. I'm being really extra today. I'm sorry. I'm trying to bulldoze through these, but the likelihood of me doing that with efficiency, not today. So let's see. Soft on Soft. I think I'm gonna put it in the okay tier. I personally thought the representation was really good. It was like 2 curvy girls who really loved each other. It was very cheesy. It was very soft. So in soft romance means like it wasn't so explicit. It wasn't about the explicitity. Did I just make up a word? It wasn't about like the sexy time. It was more so about the relationship and them growing to be comfortable with each other. One of the characters I think was like asexual or demisexual, where they were kind of learning to be comfortable with each other before exploring further, and it was just like a really soft romance, and it was very cute. So I definitely think it was a good book. And when I say good, that's why I don't know if I should put it in the good category or the okay category. I think I'm gonna keep it in the okay, because it wasn't like good. It's not, I don't think I would reread it. I would recommend it to people who want to read soft romance. Okay, the next book I have here is definitely a great book. It is A Large Expansive Sea by I almost messed up the name. A Large Expansive Sea by Mafi. This is a great book. Like, phenomenal. I don't know why I'm talking like that, but basically it's about a Muslim teen after 9/11 and that impact on them and their personal lives, and how people are so hateful, and she has so much hate for everyone else because they're hating on her, and her anger. And I really love the representation here. I thought it was very realistic. I did think it was a little romance heavy. I think I gave it a 4-star because of that, because I'd like strong Muslim women to not always need that, you know, man to feel, you know, better about life. But I totally understand that, and I want, you know, Muslim romances or Muslim teen or Muslim American teens to have those romance stories. But I definitely think that in this story, the romance could have stayed out of it, if that makes sense. She could have been like a bomb dancer without having to have that man to back her up. But I do love it. It was a great representation. It made me happy and sad and cry all at the same time. Okay, so the next book is Dread Nation. I think I'm gonna put this in the okay tier. I enjoyed it when I read it. I do think I want to read the second book. This is like in a zombie post-apocalyptic world where during the Civil War, instead of like us fighting North against South, like zombies pop up, and it's crazy, and they train black people to attack and kill the zombies. Very cool concept. I also remember there being a heavy romance in this. You're gonna notice in this video, I don't really appreciate heavy romances unless it's realistic, if that makes sense. I feel like I have to naturally understand why they like each other. And this one, it was like this dude and her had history, and they like sassy to each other, and she's like, okay, I guess I like you, kind of. That's the energy I felt. But it's been a little bit of a minute since I read it, but I still think it's an okay book. I definitely would recommend it if you want something more like kind of dystopian to read. Okay, the next book had me in tears. I think I'm going to put this in the good tier because I think it's like in between great and okay. It's If You Come Softly by Jacqueline Woodson. Love Jacqueline Woodson's writing. Her writing style is so just beautiful and clean. This story is like a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and it definitely encapsulates Black Lives Matter, because I don't want to spoil it, but Romeo and Juliet, if you know that story, it's not as happy ending. So you can imagine how Black Lives Matter might affect that story. I definitely think it's impactful, and it talks a lot about familial relationships, a Jewish girl and a black boy coming together and kind of experiencing first love. It was sad. I cried. I wouldn't recommend this unless you want to cry. And it's also short, so it just rips your heart out so fast. So it's definitely a good solid book. It's like a solid 4-star book. Okay, the next book is one of my all-time favorites. It is Piecing Me Together by Renee Watson. Y'all already know where this is going. I've talked about it to death. I won't talk about it anymore, because if you are interested in my thoughts, there's a live show about it. Most of my videos I talk about it. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite books. I think it was one of those first books that I really felt seen in. Yeah, I'll move on to the next book now. Okay, so the next book is American Street by Abusive Boys. So this one was one of those books that like confused me. Like, I liked it, but then the ending had me so sad. And then in that point in time, I was like, I would love to read a book that had POC rep without it being so sad, because this is a story about a girl, I think she's from Haiti, and she has to move to New York with her family because something happens and she gets separated from her parents, and her parents get deported. And she moves in with this family, and this big like women heavy family with lots of sisters and a loud mom, and like it's just fun, or a loud aunt or something. It's a fun book at the beginning, learning about, you know, the community in New York. Such a cool setting, but it ended up being a very tragic ending, and it kind of leaves you just wrenched, because it also talks about gentrification a little bit at the end. And because of that, I think I'm gonna say it's an okay book, because I kind of feel like it left me without any resolve or like lessons learned, because there was like no way of avoiding this. This is how life is. Very matter of fact, like stuff's effed up. I'm like, okay, but, and then the romance was like, you know, hit or miss. I wasn't like sold on the romance. Okay, so my camera died, and now I have only like 20 minutes before rehearsal, so I'm gonna see how far I can get into this. I might have to film a little bit more later, but it's gonna be dark after rehearsal, so we'll see what happens. The next book is A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. Personally, this was not my cup of tea. I really like Jason Reynolds' writing. Like, his style is so lyrical, very Elizabeth Acevedo poetic, but this storyline just didn't feel like it didn't push the boundaries I wanted it to. It was talking about basically a little bit about incarceration, a little bit about the cycle where a self-fulfilling prophecy. Really interesting ideas, but honestly I'm gonna put it in the okay tier because it was okay. You know what, now that I think about it, I think I'm gonna put everything in the good tier and leave Jason Reynolds in the okay tier, because everything next to Jason Reynolds just made me happy, whereas A Long Way Down did not make me happy. So maybe that's what okay means. Okay means just like Okay, next one is Dear Martin, which is a deep love of mine. I think that's gonna have to be a demigod because I just really enjoyed this story, the male perspective of feeling safe but actually not being safe. And they also talked a lot about relationships, him being in love with a person who is a different race, how to combat that. It was also very humorous, and it just made me feel whole, but at the same time talked a lot about some really deep issues. I really enjoyed that book. The next one is In My Skin, which is honestly a really good book. I'm gonna put it with great because I think about it all the time. I read it like last year. It's about a girl learning to love herself and she's being bullied, kind of like standing against the wind, but how it should have been approached, because she's not trying to be mean to anybody, or she does kind of blame the bullies, but everyone had an aspect and a reason why. She also learns about loving herself really, rather than trying to change who she is for acceptance. Great book. Okay, Pride, I'm gonna say, is a good book by Ibby's a Boy. Really loved it. I love the sister dynamics. It was very cute. Basically a Pride and Prejudice retelling. So if you like Pride and Prejudice, you might like that. I know a lot of people had mixed reviews. I personally haven't read Pride and Prejudice, the original, so I didn't have a lot going off of it. The romance was okay, it was cute, but I really liked this dynamic of the story, the gentrification conversations, how the sisters were backing each other up. It was all about educating yourself and trying to go to college and pursue your dreams. Like, that was awesome. Girls of Paper and Fire, I'm gonna put that in the okay tier. I just don't have any feelings for it. I don't think I'm gonna continue this series. It was just okay. A girl being sold into servitude. I mean, it tackles a lot of great issues, and I could see why so many people love it. Just for me personally, it wasn't what I really look for in a fantasy. There wasn't too many political things happening. It was more so a girl figuring out her background, trying to find her mom. But that also was kind of sitting on the back burner because there's a lot about the romance between the two main characters. Odd One Out. Ooh. I'm gonna say that's a good book because it really talks about relationships in an interesting way. It's an actual love triangle where this boy likes these two girls, and the girl likes the boy and the girl. Like, it's an actual love triangle where everyone kind of likes each other, and they're all like tackling their feelings together. It's very cute, so fun. Nick Stone is just such a funny writer. Like, I just would love to have a conversation with her because she seems like she's a hilarious person. The next book is The Bells, and I am gonna put that in the okay pile because after reading so many fantasies, like in the middle of Black Leopard, Red Fox, child, my brain's blowing up. So reading The Bells, I do appreciate the message of beauty and wanting to conform for society. That's a really interesting idea to me, but I feel like it kind of fell flat when it comes to overall the plot, the mystery, the magic of the world. I was piqued a little bit, that's why I read the second one, but I feel like reflecting on it, it's just okay. I really wish it pushed that boundaries of beauty and how people, you know, subscribe to that social standard so harshly. Crazy. The next one is Becoming by Michelle Obama, which I think I'm gonna put in the good tier. If you want an inspirational book, look no further. Becoming is great. Just such a wholesome book, and it's just a really, like, listening to the audiobook is very comforting, you know, especially during these times. Okay, the next book is Beast Made of Night. I'm gonna put this in good tier. I do want to pick up the second book. It's a magical world where this guy eats the sins of, like, the higher class, the hierarchy, because, like, the royal people couldn't have sins on them, you know? They can't have that. So they have, like, a lower class people who eat their sins for them, and things just go crazy berserk. I really want to reread it too, because I read that a while ago and I want the second book. I really love the magic system that was explored here, and it feels like it's just starting to really introduce the plot in the first book, so it's kind of interesting. Okay, My Sister the Serial Killer, I'm gonna put in okay. I didn't find it to be a thriller. Haven't read that many thrillers. I feel like this was marketed as a thriller, but it didn't feel like a thriller. It was very psychological. I feel like her sister was really manipulating her, and I kind of wish that she was like murdered. Sorry, like, but yeah. So it was just okay. I like won't reread it. I don't think about it often. It was just an okay book. Oh, The Rock and the River was a really, I think I'm gonna put it as good. Even though I kind of think about it on the occasion and compare other books to it, it talks a lot about the civil rights movement in the US and being the idea of non-violence versus violent protests, like how do we balance between the two ideas, like, and kind of understanding both sides. So it really introduces that really complex idea. So it's actually probably a great book to pick up now, because of everything going on. But yeah, I did really enjoy it. I think it's a good solid book. So like a good solid 3-star. I think I'm gonna come out with a video about my star ranking because I don't want to confuse people. 3-star ranking is a good ranking. Okay, the next book is Local Motion by Jacqueline Woodson. I think I'm just gonna put that in okay. It's lyrically, it's like written beautifully. The story itself just felt very short, and I didn't really know the characters very well. Still very emotional, and just because I like her writing, I did enjoy it, but I don't think about it often, if I'm being honest. Okay, the next one is Well-Read Black Girl, and I'm gonna put this in the good tier. Also a really good motivational book, especially if you want to be a writer or if you're a black woman. I could not recommend enough, man. How It Went Down, oh, that's a great book. I really like how it introduced new perspectives. I do think, again, like there are a lot of books out there that talk about black struggle instead of like black love. So those are one of those books, kind of like Dear Martin, where it just kind of opens your eye to a new perspective. How It Went Down I really liked because it did genuinely break down everyone's perspective, and then on top of that, in the end, the conclusion about, you know, who deserves to die. Like there's a real honest conversation at the end that I really appreciated. So that one's like a solid 4-star. Love and Lies, oh, The Love and Lies of Roxana Ali. I really like that book, but I think I'm gonna have to just put it in the great tier because it's not demigod or god material. Like I don't think about it too much, but I do think it was like a really solid book. I really love how it talked about love. I really loved how it talked about privilege, that other like family members and other cultures are becoming more open about like gayness and being more queer, and how other communities and the cultures aren't. It has a great conversation, and I did like the ending because I felt it was very realistic. So I really did like that. Okay. Oh, you know what? That is a picture. You see, this is a picture of characters in The Love and Lies of Roxana Ali. I put it in this by accident. I meant to like have it in the screen because I wanted to say that I want those illustrations, and I don't know where they're from, so if you know, comment down below because I want them. But yeah, didn't mean to I accidentally put that in here, so my bad. Okay, the next one is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I'm gonna put this in the okay tier. I personally don't love Love at First Sight, and I don't think it was done really well. I feel like I understand why people love this book. I can totally see why. For me, it just wasn't it. I didn't like the narrative voices, and I just didn't fall for the love. This whole story is all about the love and kind of the familial problems that are happening. So I just like didn't like it that much, just personally. Okay, and Ember in the Ashes, I'm gonna put in the good tier. I do like it. High fantasy. The crazy magical system. There's a lot going on in that book, so really enjoyed it. The Opposite of Always, I'm gonna put in the okay tier. Just, you know, your romance. It's another romance with a little bit of time travel. I just felt that this book was particularly too long, and it didn't do, because if you're playing with time travel and having to like reset, I wish I kind of felt that more. It did a couple times, but I was kind of expecting more resets and more problematic like problem solving. It really hit at the end, but I just feel like a lot of it was just not as exciting as it could have been for me personally. Okay, with the fire on high, we already know where she's going. God tier. I just loved it. I love the talk about love, opening yourself up. Do you deserve to, you know, have a career? She's a young mom. She's like, should I just work, get that paycheck, support my family? You know what I mean? So I really, really love the conversations in that. Okay, it is 4:42. Let's see if I can wrap this up in 8 minutes. Not happening. Oh, okay, American Panda. This is one I think about a lot, so I'm gonna put in the great tier. Solid 4-star read. So cute. May is going to college and her family is kind of very judgy and they expect her to be a doctor, even though she's a germaphobe. So very interesting. I really like the family dynamics here. Monday's Not Coming. I think I'm gonna put that in the great tier. It was a great book. Ended up crying. In the beginning I thought it was slow, but it really builds and it's done in such a strategic way. This feels more like a thriller than My Sister the Serial Killer, to be honest. It's kind of thrillery. You're like, what happened to this girl? This girl is missing. It talks a lot about family and a little bit about abuse, so be prepared for that. Okay, on the come up. I'm gonna say good. I enjoyed it. It was a cute story. It wasn't super special, but I did like aspects of it. I'm also not a huge like music person, so I feel like I missed out on that, so I'm a little sad. But it was a solid book. Okay, then we have To All the Boys I Loved Before. I think I'm gonna put that in good. I love that trilogy. It's really fun, super cute, and again, you might see this picture of John Ambrose and Laura Jean. I was gonna pop that up in the video, that's why I put it on the screen. I was like, you know what, I need to add this, and I love Jordan, and I feel like they did him dirty in the movie because he was supposed to be an all-star, man. Okay, P.S. I Still Love You. I'm gonna put that in great. I loved the second book out of everything because John Ambrose McLaren is my only fictional crush besides like manga series because he's just, I want him in my life. Can I have one? Thank you. So that's my picture of Jordan Fisher. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, Always Never Yours was, I'm gonna be rude and put it in okay because you know what, it was okay. Like, it was an ending. If I ever decide to buy the trilogy, I swear I'm only gonna read the second book because that game of tag, like, it just had so many fun elements. Okay, Astonishing Color of After, super unpopular opinion, but I think it's just okay. I don't know if it was the audiobook that I was listening to. The jumping back and forth between different times was not clear. I was constantly confused. The narrative voice just didn't pull me. I didn't care for her, which was so sad because she was going through so much, but I didn't get that storyline. I was just kind of like, okay, things are happening, you're learning about your family, but I could totally understand why other people really, really like it. Okay, Torch Against the Night, I'm gonna put it as okay. It was okay. I didn't like it as much because I felt the voices of the characters were a little complaining and it was just like drawn out, but oh my god, a lot happened in the book. Don't get me wrong, you need to read it so you can really understand the third book, but it was just okay. Internment, I'm gonna say okay because it might be considered bad in my opinion, but if I'm taking out my opinion and just thinking about the story, I just think it was not the best because it was like average, because it ended up being this futuristic world, but it relied a lot on the love, and we got a lot of sympathy through the white characters of the story towards the end because of the love aspect that comes through. It was just a little messy at the end for me. I was like, you kind of pulled away from the story, like instead of talking to your like POC allies and building yourself up, we're talking about the love of non-POC people and how they need to learn their lesson, and it wasn't what I was expecting, which I guess, you know, it happens. Sometimes you think you're gonna get a book and it comes out different. Black Enough, I'm also gonna put in the okay tier. It was just, you know, pretty solid book. I think it would hit better for a younger audience, high school, because the voices were very young, but a lot of the stories were interesting, and it's a good way to learn and find new authors. Yeah, it's just, you know, anthologies are kind of harder to rate overall. Ooh, Along for the Ride was great. My first, well, great, but it's in the good tier. It was a fun, quirky romance, adult romance, really cute. Along for the Ride, the kind of, you know, those enemies to lovers romances. It's definitely cute. I love the practice of consent. So yeah, Definitely recommend for an adult romance. The next one is Saints and Misfits. This one's also probably unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna put that in the okay tier. I personally didn't enjoy this book. I felt the narrator was kind of complaining. Even though she went through something horrible, she was attacking people that it didn't make sense who she was attacking, and then she was kind to people who were attacking her. If you're a victim of like something so horrible that happens in the very first chapter, I feel like no one has the right to tell you what to do. You have to handle those situations by yourself. And there was a character who blatantly told her that she was messed up for not, you know, speaking out to what happened to her. But that's not the case. You can't guilt people into talking about those things. Like, I just thought that was messy and rude. And the guy she liked, she was being rude to. And it's just, it was messy. I feel like it didn't do what it wanted to do, which was to motivate young girls to speak up and feel confident about themselves. But maybe it did for some people, just not me. The Stars and Blackness Between was good. That ending though had me sad because it was just like non-existent. I was like, oh, okay, I respect. But the writing, phenomenal. Definitely check out the writing. I really enjoyed it. Color Me In was great. I love that book. I think about it a lot. It talks about white passing but being like mixed. How do you handle that? It's really interesting. I really recommend it. It's such just an interesting concept. Okay, Marriage Clock. I'm gonna put this in the bad tier. Bad. Like later on you might see that I actually do put a book in the trash tier. I feel it. I don't understand the premise of like you have to get married before we assign you to get married. I get that that happens to people, but the girl who is going out of her way to go and find someone to marry was just, she was so annoying, and she was never pleased, and she was just like painted as a really just not kind character. And I'm like, why are we reading about this? And I get that we're supposed to learn through the process, but I didn't really see growth at all. So the ending was like, eh. Okay. Finding Yvonne was a good book. I really liked it. Ooh. I really liked it. Brandy Colbert's writing is solid. I didn't totally love the story. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I did enjoy that story. It was really cool. The romance, finding yourself, what you want to do in the future. It was a solid read. Okay. Full disclosure. Ooh. I don't know if this should be a demi or great. Oh, okay. So I'm going to do great for now because I think about this book a lot. I think it's a good book. It has great representation, asexual, bisexual, figuring out yourself, having HIV and dealing with that. It's an all-around incredible story, and there's a little bit of theater in there. They're doing Rent the musical, I believe it's Rent. Super cool. Okay, Wicked Fox, I'm gonna just put in the okay tier because I didn't love it. Honestly, I just thought it was like a romance. I think the cultural aspects were really cool, but it didn't take away from the fact that I didn't believe the love story. This guy like really liked this girl, and then out of nowhere, like bad things happen, and then he's like, I hate you. His feelings were a little here there for me. I was like, okay, okay, next, Reaper at the Gates. Oh, was so good. I really enjoyed it. I cried a bunch of times. I have a recent vlog where I talk about it. It was a really solid book. Okay, Slay. I'm gonna also put that as a good book. It was really cool talking about creating your own game, giving black people power. There was a lot of great conversations around it. Very, very nifty. Highly recommend, especially if you're nerdy and you love games. Oof. Oh, I just realized my list has like double the books. Okay, I might have less books than I think. Okay, cool. Next book, Salt Lake Bittersweet. More people need to be talking about this amazing book. It was so great. I'm gonna put this in the great tier. It's about a girl studying food in Paris. She's mixed. She's Cuban, black, and French. She's learning about her dreams and if the hustle culture is worth it, and it's just so beautiful, and I need more people to read it. Strong. Okay, this next book, trash. I don't really want to explain it. I have a Goodreads review on it if you're interested, but basically this book relied way too heavily on stereotypes. Not okay. It was just stereotypical, and black people deserve better. I'm trying to keep it short. I don't want to get into the details. If you want to know more, look at my Goodreads review. I really break it down how they rely on stereotypes in a very negative way. Okay, next is Daughters of Neri. I think it was a good, solid book. I think it was a good introduction for fantasy. I kind of wish I got a little more though. The world was really cool though. Okay, Queenie was a great book. I think about it, but it broke me. Read the trigger warnings because it talks a lot about mental health and sexual relationships, so just look into it before you open it. This girl will break you. Okay, the next book is A River of Royal Blood. This one was a good one. It was really solid fantasy. I really enjoyed it. I do want the second book, and the new covers look phenomenal. I loved the little family dynamic of it. It was just a solid read, a really good black fantasy. This next one, Let Me Hear a Rhyme, which was also one of our Brown Girl Book Club reads. I'm gonna say it was a good read. I really did enjoy it. I love the musical aspects of it, and I think I could relate to it a little bit more because it was broken down really well in this story. But it talks about when someone passes away because of brutality and violence, how can we keep them alive? And that conversation I also think is really important nowadays, and it also is placed in, I believe, the 90s, the late 90s, so the music references are really fun and poppin'. I thought it was really cool, and they also talk a little bit about, I think, the Black Panthers, or they have a conversation about blackness, and this girl is really trying to like progress herself and be forward thinking, and there's a little bit of girl hate at the beginning, but they tackle that so well throughout the book about like it's okay to have different perspectives, especially when it comes to hip-hop and women in hip-hop and rap and those ideas. It was tackled so well in this book. I really liked it. It might be a great tier. You know what, I think I'm gonna put it in the great tier. Okay, let's see. The next one is When You Were Everything, and I think I'm just gonna put that in the okay tier because it was an okay story. These are two friends that kind of have a falling out during high school, and it makes sense. They were very mean and nasty to each other, and I think this is a relatable story that everyone can understand, so kind of hits home. You totally understand where they come from. Of Curses and Kisses was another one that's okay. Like, it was a nice little romance, fairy retelling. Like, I don't know if I'd reread it or buy the physical copy because I read the NetGalley arc, but it was good, you know. In the end, I ended up really caring for them. I think I ended up giving it a 3-star in the end, but it was just a solid read, you know. Okay, next. Oh, this one is so good. Oh, it's great. It's great. Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu. I need to buy more Maureen Gu stuff. So this makes that insta love really just popped in the book because it's in one day. They're in Hong Kong. It's kind of like having the perfect date, and they talk a lot about life and chasing their dreams, and it was just all so sweet. Oh, I really enjoyed that book. Okay, let's see. And I want to read more for work. Okay, Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in the okay. If you haven't seen my vlog, I vlogged about it. I was expecting more, but the conflicts in the book just seem to rely too heavily on kind of miscommunication and not understanding each other. And I get that you want something different, but at the same time, the whole book, like 400 pages of I want to do this and you want to do that, it was just a little boring for me personally. But I totally understand why some people like it because the character dynamics and the character themselves are very interesting and complex. Okay, From Love to A to Z. I'm gonna put this in the okay tier, but personally I really didn't like this book because the MS representation really upset me because I feel like it just wasn't done well. I felt that their love was forced. They didn't have a serious conversation until the very end of the book about supporting each other, and she didn't really apologize for her actions. So you know, it's just, you know, I might give away that book because it upset me a little bit. Okay, the next one, Everlasting Rose. Again, just okay. That one also kind of disappointed me. I expected it to do a lot more world building, and it didn't. And it also didn't leave in an interesting hook. It kind of just went, we did it. And I was like, but I got questions. Is there going to be a third book? Apparently there is a third book, but I don't know why we'd read it because everything kind of came to an end so perfectly in the second book. So I'm definitely confused by that. Okay, next is Children of Blood and Bone. I'm gonna say that's a good one because it was fun to read. I mean, I know that the story is like fantasy, journey, very Avatar-esque, but it was fun. I really enjoyed the first book. I sat down and I was able to read it. I was never bored. It was a solid read, you know, solid 3-star. Brown Girl Dreaming was also another solid 3-star. Fun, good, learning about a girl, learning to dream and appreciate herself. Really love her writing anyway. Jacqueline Woodson. Wayne. Harbor Me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We finally have another demigod. I think about this book all the time and the communication that happens in between these groups about, you know, different perspectives and different privilege, and it's a great story. It's, I think, more middle grade. They're in 8th grade. They're in special needs. I was in special needs classes, so I just loved it. I think more people should read it. Ahmad Unbound. It was okay. It had an interesting perspective. I think I read it a really long time ago. It just didn't stick with me. I didn't connect with the character that much. I can totally see why some people really, really loved it. The Hate You Give was good. It was good. I feel bad because I'm like, I feel like it's one of those books that everyone talks about, but I just think, you know, it's a little overhyped. The writing style is good. The story was good, but I think I like Dear Martin just a little bit. Just personally. I think it's just writing style. That Angie Thomas's writing style is good, but you know, not everything. I feel like some people like die hard for that book, and I'm like, respect. Okay, and I believe we have come around to the beginning. Wow, that's so funny that I like accidentally downloaded all the books twice. So here is my fantastic chart. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Comment below your strong disagreements. I bet there's plenty. I feel like a lot of popular books are in the okay tier. And I'm kind of happy that I even got a book in the trash tier, because I was like scared of, like, I feel like I don't read a lot of trash books. Like I feel like I really research books very well, at least now in this year. Previous years not as much, but hopefully we don't have any more trash books anymore. That's the goal. I literally have 2 minutes till rehearsal, so I just barely made it. I'm going to stop screen recording. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy this. Again, comment down below. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Let me know. And I hope you enjoyed this book. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.